Welcome back. I'm Rick Sanchez. If you want to protect your money, if you want to hedge against inflation, just go for the gold. Well, that's been the mantra for a lot of investors, especially during the rocky economic times these last couple of years. With every other investment feeling volatile, the price of gold has been going up. In fact, on a meteoric rise to record highs recently. Check it out over the last decade. In fact, here, compare that to the S&P 500, the broadest measure of stocks. Well, now a company that sells gold to consumers, Goldline International, out of California, is under investigation by authorities in Los Angeles, by Congress, and is facing at least one class action lawsuit for its sales techniques. And Consumer Reports calls its prices for collectible coins inflated. Now, you've probably seen their ads on TV, even on this station. Goldline has been getting some extra attention lately because it's got a prominent lineup of celebrity endorsements, including two former presidential candidates and Fox News host Glenn Beck. We're bringing you this story tonight because a lot of you might be considering putting your money in gold. And some of what you hear may be confusing. Some may not be true. And we want to parse it out for you as best we can. Tonight I'm joined by Congressman Anthony Weiner, who is leading a congressional investigation into Goldline and into gold dealing as an industry. I'm also going to be talking with Goldline's Executive Vice President, Scott Carter, in just a moment. But first, Congressman Weiner, you have some of the accusations in this case, so let me begin with you. Is your problem the product or the pitch?
Well, listen, gold may be a good investment. It might be a good hedge. Some people think there's a gold bubble that we're in now, but there are smart ways and dumb ways to buy gold, and Goldline is a very dumb way. The Consumer Reports put it exactly right. Their prices are so wildly inflated that when you get down to the value of the actual gold in the coin, it would take you another 30 years of that chart you just showed for them even to catch up with all the markup. What's really going on here is that people are being taken advantage of. They're hearing about the instability in the market. They're hearing about the problems with currency, being encouraged to invest in gold, very often by conservative commentators they trust. And then they see an advertisement for Goldline which says things that the City of Los Angeles lawsuit, the Attorney General of Missouri, Better Business Bureau, many people have said are just not good ways to invest your money.
Congressman, let me bring something to your attention. Goldline, and this may surprise you, you may know about it. It has an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, unlike other gold dealers like Superior Gold, for example, that is also being investigated by the LA District Attorney and Santa Monica City Attorney. That company got an F rating because they've ignored most of the complaints against them. So why are you focused specifically on Goldline?
Well, let me say this about the Better Business Bureau. First of all, they measure complaints, and there have been dozens of complaints against them to the Better Business Bureau. In fact, one of the reasons there haven't been more is that Goldline admits, and I hope you'll ask them about this, they make people who they settle a dispute with sign a non-complaint, non-disclosure agreement, which certainly reduces the amount of complaints they have. Secondly, there's been a lot written about how easy it is that Better Business Bureau sells its A+ ratings. Starbucks has an F. This company has an A+, despite the fact that they have dozens of complaints against them. And finally, there's a thing that the Better Business Bureau doesn't even look into, and that's a simply inflated price. They might give terrific service, but they're ripping you off when they do it because their melt value of their coins is astronomically higher than what it would be if you invested in gold in other ways.
Let me ask you about something. Apparently, Goldline's promotional materials are warning consumers that back in 1933, during the Great Depression, the government banned hoarding gold and confiscated people's gold bullion. So that's what they seem to say in the ads. Now, there's no ban now on owning gold anymore, but Goldline's latest newsletter seems to warn it could happen again, and it could happen to you. In fact, those are the words that they use. Do you believe that's an unfair assertion?
Well, of course it is. First of all, it hasn't been true for a long time, and it is part of their sales pitch. They prey on people's insecurities and fear. That's why they have people like Glenn Beck as their spokesman. It's his entire dog and pony show is about making people scared and insecure. Let's remember something. At the time that happened in the FDR administration, it's when we had gold backing to our dollars. So when the government was trying to stabilize after the Depression, there was a period of time where they asked people to come in at market value and sell their gold back.
So just for the record, you're saying, hold on a minute. Just for the record, you're saying Glenn Beck goes on the air and tries to frighten people to try and convince them that the only choice they have is then gold? Is that what you're asserting?
Well, Rick, I don't know if the tone of your voice is real surprise or not, but if you watch Glenn Beck, that's exactly what he does just about every single day. And then seamlessly they go into these ads for Goldline. This is a terrible way, frankly. Look, there are rip-off companies around, but the way that they work hand in glove with their celebrity endorsers is truly troubling, which is why I've called out Fox and Glenn Beck on this in particular.
All right. My thanks to you, Congressman Anthony Weiner, for coming on and sharing your perspective on this. For the record, Glenn Beck declined to comment on this. We reached out to him, and Anthony Weiner and L.A. Investigations, but a spokesperson did refer us to WeinerFacts.com, a website that takes on allegations against Goldline and takes on the people who make them. All right, so let's do this now. Let's switch over to Scott Carter now. He's the Executive Vice President of Goldline International, who's joining us now live from Los Angeles. I think since we ended with the discussion about Glenn Beck, I'll go ahead and start you there. What do you make of the assertion that Glenn Beck and others, and by the way, you sponsor Glenn Beck's radio show, correct? Not his TV show, to be fair.
That is correct. We have a traditional relationship with Glenn Beck. We sponsor his radio show, but we advertise on many channels.
Okay, but let me just,
your station.
But let me just, no, you're right. You're right. You have ran ads, to be totally transparent, here on CNN as well. But I think the relationship that the congressman tried to bring up is whether or not there's some kind of quid pro quo with someone who you sponsor their radio show, who goes on television, or pardon me, who goes on radio and states that the situation economically is very, very bad, that we're on the brink of losing our democracy, and that the way they can save themselves, his listeners, is by buying your product. Is there a ethical problem with that as far as you're concerned, and do you in any way encourage him to put out that message?
Well, we have no control over the content of Mr. Beck's show. We're a standard advertiser. But let's face it, Rick, all throughout the media there's discussion about the concerns in the economy. Whether you're on Capitol Hill, whether you're talking to institutional investors, whether you're talking to central bankers, there's concerns about devaluation of our currency, there's concerns about our long-term buying power, and what we provide is for individuals to diversify their portfolio by having a component of their portfolio in a physical asset such as gold, which has historically been a hedge against these concerns long term.
Well, let me ask you about some of the accusations then. Look at this situation. There's this man in Michigan who told us that he called Goldline because he wanted to buy gold bullion, pure gold, right? But he was persuaded to buy gold coins instead. And Congressman Weiner, in his report, points this out. He says that Goldline sales representative aggressively pushed him toward the sale of collector coins over bullion because the company has the largest profit margin on them and the sales representatives make the largest commission. Is this true? Do your employees push customers toward buying coins over bullion, make a higher profit margin on them?
That's an inaccurate statement. We offer a full range of products. We sell tens of millions of dollars every year in bullion. We also sell collector coins. And it's important to point out, Rick, that when you see our ads that are running on TV, the very products that are marketed on those ads, older European coins, proof American coins, these are the products that when a client calls, those are the products that are represented to them.
Why do you...
Let me make one more point.
Please, go ahead.
We're an inbound call center, and therefore we're not outbound cold calling, so the individual is contacting us first.
Why does your company promote the idea that gold bullions can be confiscated by the government when we know there's a law that does not allow the government to do that?
Well, let's be clear on the facts. One, the law still exists for the government to confiscate gold if they choose to do so. And there is no debate about.
Well, there's a law, sir, that you could say that about anything. There's something out there that says the government can do whatever it wants to do in a case of war, national emergency, but that's not what we're talking about. That's a big if, isn't it?
Well, you're making my point for me, because the fact is the government's taken over corporations, it's taken out auto companies, it's taken over banks. In extraordinary times like we're experiencing today, The government can and will take advantage. And by the way, confiscation is only one of the features and benefits of why individuals buy coins with collector value. There's also a price guarantee program we offer. There's concerns about
don't you see where people, but don't you see, one final thing to you, don't you see where people might think that that sounds an awful lot like a scare tactic, like you're using perhaps radio hosts or others to use their credibility to scare people into buying something that they don't necessarily need? Is that a fair accusation against your company, or how would you defend yourself against that?
Not in my view. Gold is recently in the news, but for the last 10 years, it has been a stellar investment. So individuals have been contacting us for 50 years, Rick. We've been in business for 50 years. So this diversification strategy is a long-term asset. Central banks are doing it.
Well, I get that. And you say it takes sometimes at least 5 years for somebody who buys your gold to be able to show a profit on it. That's an important point that needs to be made as well. My thanks to you, sir, for taking time to take us through your side of this explanation as well. And I'm being told that Congressman Anthony Weiner is shaking his head for something he just heard. Did you say, Congressman Weiner, let me bring you back in. You still there? There was just for the sake of clarity about the law, whether or not the FDR law was actually changed, and if there is a law on the books that actually says that the government can't take your gold whenever they want to.
Yeah, that, you see, it's another, there's not more than one thing that may shake my head, but I'm holding here Executive Order 11825, effective December 1974, which says that all of those provisions are null and void, and they were essentially eliminated from the registry. But the scare continues. You heard it right there in response to your question. The insecurities in the news. This is not whether you should buy gold. It's whether you should buy gold from that guy. That guy, if you look at my website and at house.gov/Weiner, people can compare for themselves the price of gold that's publicly available, and you'll see what a markup they have.
Congressman Anthony Weiner, my thanks to you for bringing light to this subject.